The data you collect on your website, your campaigns, and your social media efforts will determine the overall health of your digital marketing. The data is your map. Without it, you're flying blind. You'll be using your data to improve your experience, listen for untapped opportunities, and pull the plug if you have to on any failing ideas. The amazing thing with digital marketing is we can track just about every action a user takes. There are a number of tools available that help marketers understand both the qualitative and the quantitative. We can track what's happening now and even model what is likely to happen in the future. Let's dig a little deeper into measuring data by looking at how we can capture data within our three medias: paid, owned, and earned. So the easiest place to start is with your own website. Here you can track how many visitors, where they're coming from, what pages they're visiting, how long they've stayed, and even what page they left from. By reviewing your analytics, you'll get a sense of how your users found your site, if they're finding what they want, and if your advertising objectives are driving a meaningful amount of traffic. With a resource like Google Analytics, you'll install a tracking code on every page on your website. From there, you'll have a goldmine of data to leverage, segment, and correlate. For example, if you made a change to your website design and noticed on that day web traffic dropped dramatically, you'll have a sense of where to start looking for the problem. If you roll out a new landing page, you might see an increase in conversions resulting from that specific page. Or you may see a sudden spike in traffic, and by drilling into it, you can identify the source, say a social media post, or a mention, or even an online blog. Now, your paid analytics are typically tied to a reporting platform provided by the tool you're using to run those ads. This data is extremely useful, as it can give you granular details on which ads are working, what targeting makes sense, and more. However, you'll want to track as much data as you can in another tracking tool, independent of that provider. This way, you can check the accuracy and evaluate things from different perspectives. This is important because more often than not, the way your platform will report conversions is different than how you report them. And this works by installing a small pixel on your conversion page, which informs the platform that a sale happened. So if you have an advertisement on Facebook, for example, driving traffic to your landing page, you'll want to use campaign tracking tags or goal tracking in Google Analytics and the Facebook advertising dashboard simultaneously. This way, you can compare the data, identify any discrepancies, and test if your conversion pixel is actually working. Now, the final part of our measurement will come from earned media, and this one is typically the most difficult. Here, your outcomes aren't necessarily determined by spend, but how interesting people think your product and services are. Here, you're tracking things like your social media fan base, mentions and interactions on tweets, and video views on YouTube. You may have many dashboards that you collect this data in, and you'll want to look at it alongside all your other advertising metrics. The best way to measure results with earned media is to have your own goals and objectives that you can measure against. So if, for example, you decide that 10,000 Facebook fans would increase your revenue potential by $1,000, then you can track how you're trending towards that goal and the effort you're investing. There's an endless amount of data providers out there. Investigate them against your needs and keep a system in place that provides you with the necessary checks and balances. I find interpreting your data becomes easier and more meaningful if you understand the pieces that make data collection possible. Every action you take on the web is tracked one way or another. The pages you view, the files you download, and even demographic and interest data can be recorded. And this data is captured through the use of what are called cookies and pixels. A cookie is a small file that a website stores on your computer. This file might contain the pages you visited and when, a unique identifier, and even if you're authorized to view certain logged-in content. Typically, a cookie doesn't have much identifying information. The website itself will store its own corresponding file and match your cookie ID to the records on the server. And this is useful for knowing whether a visitor is returning for the second time, how long between visits, and even what advertisements they've clicked into. Speaking of advertising, ad platforms such as Facebook Atlas or Google AdSense use cookies to identify the same user as they browse the web. So you might see an ad from Google on the New York Times, and then another ad from them while you're browsing a food blog. As you continue to browse the web and load advertisements from the same publisher, they'll see a list of the type of sites you visit and how you interact with these ads. This information can then be used to sell ads that you're likely to engage with. So beyond cookies, we have the tracking pixel. And a tracking pixel stores information on your web server, not your computer. A pixel is really just a one-by-one transparent image, and they're often used to see if users convert after visiting a particular ad. Here's how they work. The server stores a small file, call it pixel.gif, and every time the server asks for the file, it's going to log that request. Now, instead of just asking for pixel.gif, we'll instead add custom variables to the request, say pixel.gif, ID equals 123, and so on and so forth. The server will be successful in delivering the image because all that extra text is irrelevant, so the user won't see any issues. But it does keep a log of that unique URL, and it can use those variables to then match that transaction back to a particular user or advertising event. To put this another way, let's say you click on an ad to buy movie tickets. As soon as you click, you're going to receive a cookie. The cookie will include information on the time, where you clicked, what banner was clicked, and so on. Now at this point, the advertising platform knows that the ad received an impression and a click, but it has no record of the sale. So now let's say you continue on and buy those tickets. On the confirmation page, the website is going to read the cookie on your computer, pull the information from it, and send it back to the server through the conversion pixel. And now the advertising platform will connect the dots and indicate a sale for that ad. We'll talk more about how these sales are attributed later. There's some other factors such as how long it's been since the click, if the click came directly from the last click, or maybe if a user saw an advertisement and purchased without actually clicking. But again, more on that later. I could go deeper and deeper into the technical aspects of how cookies and pixels work, but the truth of the matter is, you really don't need to know all the nuances. With this high-level overview, you'll be able to make sure yours are set up properly and tracking the right information. Conversion funnels help us see the sales process, or the specific route a user takes to arrive at a sale. They're a visual representation of each step of the process, and they can be fairly generic, referencing sales in general. It's wide at the top because that's where most of our users are in the process, and narrow at the bottom because we lose people at each step in the process, which is shown through the use of the arrows on the edges of the funnel. Funnels actually come in all shapes and sizes. A perfect 100% conversion funnel would look like a straight cylinder. A typical funnel is really wide at the top and very narrow at the bottom. A well-optimized funnel has a more gradual shape, suggesting very limited abandonment. And poorly optimized funnels might have bulges or aggressive drop-off, indicating an issue. Your online marketing funnel will be specific, so we wouldn't track things so broadly. Instead, our funnel for a shopping cart might be product page at the top, payment form in the middle, and completion as the last step. There, we could track how many visitors saw our product page versus how many completed the sale. In this example, a visualized funnel will show what steps might cause problems. If people aren't reaching the payment page, or if we have high abandonment right before checkout, we have a problem. You'll use your funnel to test page variations, the copy and language used, and even identify bugs or browser issues. With Google Analytics, we can create our own visual funnels. Now, once there's data in this section, you'll be able to see how many people come in, how many people exit on this particular step, and how many move on to the next step in the flow. This helps you identify where issues exist. If we notice that a lot of people are making it to the payment page, but then abandoning, we'd know that we need to optimize the payment page. Perhaps there's an issue with that page, the way that we're asking for data. Maybe the page itself is broken. Maybe we don't have a security certificate. Maybe people are concerned about their information, but we'd identify that something is happening that prevents people from finalizing that goal. Now, keep in mind, Google Analytics doesn't calculate funnels retroactively. So you need to set them up from the start, and the data will then start collecting into that funnel moving forward. Your analytics will have all the information of what's going on across your marketing channels, but your KPIs will refine that information to give you a clear view of how you're performing. The KPIs will help tell the story of how your online marketing is doing at a glance. If you don't have them, you'll be overwhelmed with the amount of data available to you. By monitoring your KPIs, you'll see what's working, what's not, and what is impacting something else. When you go about creating your KPIs, make sure they are aligned to your business goals. They need to be measurable and easy to understand. So a good KPI might be increased traffic 5% month over month, whereas a bad KPI would be increased traffic each month. If you don't have a quantifiable goal, it's not easy to interpret the results. Sure, you might be satisfied with growing traffic, but if you're only growing by a few visits per month, you've got a problem. And that problem wouldn't be visible if your KPI got a check mark because it was simply to increase traffic. You want your KPIs to be tied to your marketing objectives, because then they are influenced by your effort. They'll let you know when to celebrate and when to make something better. So for example, If you're running an advertisement as a test to see if you can get acquisition costs at an acceptable level, you might want a KPI that says, achieve a $40 CPA. If you went with achieve 100 sales, you'll be focusing on measuring something you're not actually trying to achieve. You could succeed at that $40 CPA and then scale your KPI to be generate 100 sales per month at a $40 cost per acquisition. To help get you started, here's some items to consider creating a KPI around. For online sales, look at your conversion rate and the cost per acquisition. For broader marketing objectives, set a KPI for total revenue and even the ratio of new to returning visitors. If you're using a landing page, set a bounce rate KPI. This way, you can identify if your inbound traffic isn't targeted enough. As you consider your KPIs, do yourself a favor and avoid worrying about things that aren't impacting your bottom line. Page views might be impressive, but only if they're actually driving revenue. I track business and marketing KPIs with an Excel spreadsheet, but you can also look at software from geckoboard.com or Sife.com to build out KPI dashboards giving you at-a-glance information. Take your time and pick the metrics that are relevant to you and organize them in a way that makes sense for your business. A lot of online marketing revolves around encouraging a direct response from a prospective customer. We'll show them an advertisement, a tweet, or a special offer via email and measure success based on the click and subsequent conversion. This is what is referred to as last click attribution. The entire value of the customer's conversion is placed on the marketing channel or campaign that delivered the customer. Last click attribution is easy to measure because it involves a very clear process the user takes. However, this is a really flawed method. We know that customers take a much larger journey. They might see an email, then read through a few brand tweets, check reviews online, and compare prices prior to purchasing. Add offline influences and second screen interactions on mobile or tablet devices, and you can see how attributing all the value to a single source isn't going to cover it. So what do we do from here? Truthfully, it's an iterative process unique to each brand. So you start with your last click wins, and then apply some weight to your other attributions, your view-through conversions. A view-through can be measured when an advertising platform places a cookie when a user receives your ad impression. Now, if they don't click, but later come to your site and buy your product, then it'll be tracked as a view-through. But not all ad impressions are single-handedly delivering sales. Again, there might be social media or search playing a role as well. But applying some weight to view-through conversions will help balance the attribution model even further. With your paid advertising, you might adjust the view-through conversion by reducing the window of time that you'll accept a sale as being attributed to an ad impression. Some brands might be willing to accept the idea that a 30-day window is reasonable, while others might prefer a much shorter time period. Be sure to review your cookie durations with any paid advertising that you're conducting. As with most everything in marketing, the idea is test, optimize, and test again. You might notice patterns emerge where you're taking a loss on your search marketing. That is to say, your cost per acquisition on a last click attribution is higher than anticipated. But if you stop your search marketing, you can see that your display advertising suffers significantly. This might suggest people see your banner ad, search for your brand, and click on your paid result. If your banner advertisement was relatively inexpensive, your attribution model might allow you to share some of the costs, making both campaigns pencil out in the green. You can boil attribution models down into a wholesome model or a fractional model. So in a wholesome approach, you'll give all the credit to last click or first click. In a fractional model, you'll spread that attribution out and give credit to certain channels that might only be assisting on the final decision. There are many ways to build out your attribution models. You can track the metrics individually in Excel and make comparisons between each channel. There are also third-party attribution tools, or if you're using Google Premium, you can modify your attribution on the fly. Now, if you're not on Premium, you can still get a good idea of various attribute models by using multi-channel funnels. This way, you can start seeing which channels are actually bringing in the most revenue and drive your efforts in that direction. Or you can identify which channels aren't driving a lot of value and see if you can work on those channels to increase their value. It's important to understand how you're attributing your sales. So don't pull the plug too early on various marketing efforts. Instead, use this data to see if you can identify why or why not various sources are working. Now, your model might change, so continue to keep tabs on this data and look to see if any patterns emerge. Search engine optimization is all about impacting how visible your website is in a search engine's organic results. You'll be making changes to your site's technical setup as well as the content on the page in an effort to improve rank. To better understand optimization, let's start by looking at how search engines work. A company like Google will have a bot, basically a software program that crawls the web. It does this by following links, and links from your site to other pages on your site, and even links from one site to another. The crawler arrives at a page, reads the code, and stores the information. That stored information is called the index, and your initial goal is to get indexed by Google. If you're indexed, you'll rank, and you might not rank well, but you have the potential for ranking. And when I talk about rank, I'm referring to which position you appear in for a particular search query. So when you enter a search term, Google will do its best to provide the most important and relevant answers and then rank them from best to worst. The better Google is at their job, the more likely you are to use them, and the more money they make. So it's in Google's best interest to deliver the best content. And because Google drives a mind-boggling amount of traffic each day, it's in your best interest to rank well for relevant terms. And rank is determined by importance and relevance. A complex algorithm churns through hundreds of variables to decide where your page lands. Many of those variables are what you're aiming to optimize. These variables might include the topics you're writing about, who is linking to your page, how your website is programmed, and even if you're mobile friendly. Google even evaluates the quality of the pages that are linking to you. If they're on brand, relevant, and popular, it's going to assume you're more credible than if off-topic, unpopular pages are linking to your content. Variables that you can't control might include where a user is searching from, trending topics, and any current events that could skew results. SEO done well can provide an impressive ROI. Done poorly, and it'll negatively impact your organic search efforts. In this chapter, we'll dig into the fundamentals of good SEO and how you can improve the chances that your page ranks well. Truthfully, SEO is an ongoing effort. There isn't one specific tactic you can implement at the start to succeed at the race. It'll require many factors to be evaluated, tweaked, and then refined. With that said, there's still a handful of variables that are absolutely essential to your success. I'm going to focus on these key areas for now to give you a solid foundation for your continued effort. So first off, search engines are built around their ability to index pages. So it's very important that your site is accessible to crawlers, and that crawlers can get to every page on your site. Search engines love text. It's the easiest for them to parse. If your site is built in Flash, you're going to have trouble with SEO. If you're using images in place of text, you too will have a problem. Search engines also love clicking links. If you've got your links tucked into a custom JavaScript navigation, your crawlability might be impaired. So as you look at your site, make sure you have at least one regular text-based hyperlink to every page on your site. It's usually best to build a flat site hierarchy versus a deep site hierarchy. And to help understand this, let's look at a flat hierarchy. There are exceptions to every rule. In some situations, there are simply too many categories to show them all at one level. In other cases, showing specific topics too soon will just confuse your audience, and users will understand your offerings much better if you include some intermediary category pages to establish context. Focus on building a site that is easy to navigate for your users, with your most important content linked clearly and prominently. Next, be sure to look at how your URLs are named. It's a great idea to have natural language URLs free of any extensions. If you have an e-commerce site, a URL of clothingsite.com/mens/pants/denim-jeans is going to be much better than clothingsite.com/product-ID=123. Along that same concept, be sure your title tags are unique to each individual page and include a clear topic. Don't start your title tags with your domain name, simply append that to the end. Be sure each page has a unique meta description. Google often uses the meta description as the short text visible in search results. Don't just list keywords here. Create a meaningful sentence or two that will entice the visitor to click. Next, make sure you're taking advantage of heading tags. These are the H1, H2, and H3 tags. You always want your heading tags to appear in order on your page, and you should only have one heading 1 tag. Avoid using your heading 1 tag to say things like about us or contact us. Instead, focus on the core topic for that page. Check that every image on your website has a well-defined name and an alt tag description. No need to keyword stuff in your tags, just make them natural and relevant to the user, and Google will reward you. Finally, be sure to use a sitemap both in HTML and XML format, along with a well-defined robots.txt file. I also recommend signing up for Google Webmaster Tools. It's a great dashboard that will help you inspect the overall SEO health of your site. You'll find the free sign up at google.com/webmasters. Use the dashboard to review how many pages have been crawled and indexed, see a list of crawl errors, and identify any HTML improvements Google recommends for you. If you have a moderately sized site, check out the tool Screaming Frog SEO Spider at screamingfrog.co.uk. You can crawl your site just as a search engine would, see a list of any broken links, along with an output of all your heading 1 tags, meta descriptions, and title tags. Work through each page on your site to make sure it's technically sound. Without great content, you're lost to Google. In order to understand what is going on with your website, Google has to have some information to read. And it reads that information with a slight bias on keywords. So earlier, we looked at building a list of our important keywords, and now we need to make sure we have content written around those terms. And by writing content for our keywords, I'm not talking about blanketing the page with these keywords. Back in the late 90s, marketers were focused on these ideas around keyword density, title tag stuffing, and a whole slew of other tricks to try to win over a particular search term. Search engines are now smart enough to understand the relationship between words and phrases. So trying to reinforce a keyword unnaturally isn't going to help you. If anything, it might negatively impact your effort. So when you build your content, keep in mind there is no magic number of words or times to repeat your term. Instead, build out the information that brings the most value to your user. If you're going after a particular search term, it's because that term is popular to your user base, and using it naturally will be in your benefit. If you really need a formula, I'd stick with this. Have your keyword or related concept in your heading tag. Include your keyword once, and maybe twice, if it's not awkward, above the fold in your content. And then write supporting copy that includes your related concepts and terms to give Google an indication of what the theme of this page is about. Remember, Google is smart. If you're trying to game the system, chances are you're just putting yourself behind. Take time to build content that is natural, easy to read, and a value add for your users, and you'll see Google reward that effort over time. As you evaluate the SEO landscape, you might decide it's in your best interest to hire a professional. You can hire a resource to provide you with a list of recommendations, or an entire team capable of executing on the strategy they develop. Search engine optimization has the potential to bring incredible amounts of traffic to your website. Because of this, it's quite possible that you'll see a return on investment if you hire the right professional and provide them with enough time to demonstrate success. There are hundreds of factors which determine how websites rank, and there isn't one flip a switch type answer. Because of this, SEO requires a lot of effort and a lot of experience to drive meaningful results. And this comes at a significant cost. So before you move towards hiring a professional, consider your budget. A typical search engine optimizer, and I'll use the acronym SEO to refer to them, will charge to audit your site, to build the strategy, and possibly a monthly retainer to track your performance. For a medium-sized business, expect between $3,000 and $9,000 each for the audit and the strategy development. The implementation costs will be dependent on how much work is needed to achieve your desired result, but expect at least $1,000 a month for an ongoing retainer. The earlier you introduce your SEO to the project, the better. If you're about to redesign your website, implement a new technical feature, or add a product to your lineup, bring them on board so they can provide you with a strategy early on. It's never too late, but undoing bad SEO can add to the cost. I'm going to give you some questions to ask as you evaluate a consultant, but before that, let's talk about some major red flags that should always be avoided. First, true SEO professionals will not provide you with any guarantees. There is more to SEO than earning a number 1 slot. Firms that promote themselves by guaranteeing a number 1 slot for a certain amount of keywords are highly suspect. It's impossible to make that guarantee unless you're using some shady tricks, which will only make things worse in the long run. Your SEO should provide you with an honest overview of the type of improvements you're likely to see, and these improvements can take several months to really kick into gear. Secondly, your SEO should not encourage you to participate in a link exchange or use pages of your site to include links to other sites under the premise that it'll increase your rank. All this does is build a link farm and further dilutes the authority of your site. Third, there is no such thing as instant results. It's alluring to see a $700 SEO special with an instant result guarantee, but real SEO takes a lot of work, and that expertise will come at a premium. If you can't afford a high-quality SEO, you'll find more success in self-studying SEO here on lynda.com than paying for a quick-fix SEO agency. And finally, avoid anyone who claims to have a special relationship with Google or premium directory services. Google doesn't accept payment or provide anyone with a fast lane to SEO success. Now, some SEOs might have relationships or resources in Google or be affiliated in one way or another, and that isn't a bad thing. Just know there isn't any special treatment or special inside knowledge. Now, those are the major red flags, and fortunately, there are still a lot of very qualified and talented SEOs out there ready to take your business to a new level. You can start your search on LinkedIn or Twitter by asking your network for any recommendations. Talk with colleagues in similar industries to see if they've had success with an SEO. Some of the best referrals come from people who have had positive experiences with their consultant. You can look at people contributing to SEO blogs or writing articles on your topic. Quora.com has a lot of conversations on the topic worth exploring. From there, you can research the individual providing the answers and see if they fit your criteria. Take a look at conferences and who's presenting. If the conference is notable, the speakers are likely vetted and a good starting point. Even if they're out of your price range, they might recommend you to someone that they like. You can reach out via email or Twitter to engage in initial conversation. As you build your shortlist, and you should be getting quotes from a few parties to compare, take the following into consideration. Does the SEO have any relevant examples related to your industry? Has the SEO been in business for a while? How many years of experience do they have? Ask what tools and resources they use. They shouldn't have any problems being transparent with you and should at least suggest using Google Webmaster Tools. From there, dig deeper into the qualities of the person or the agency. Get a sense of any reviews on the web, if they're contributing to SEO education, and look at their LinkedIn profile. You're looking for people who have been in the related industry for a while. Now, a lot of SEO firms will staff quote-unquote consultants who are really just fresh marketing graduates. Now, that's not always a bad thing. SEO research is fairly cut and dry, so as long as the strategist seems qualified, they'll likely employ a qualified team as well. But it's worth knowing all the people who will be interacting with your project. If you don't align with a particular person on the team, it'll impact your overall outcome. Finally, evaluate a person or team on their entire offering. Don't focus only on price or exclusively on experience. There are a lot of expensive agencies that do terrible work, and there are plenty of well-studied beginners who can bring a lot of value to your process. Hiring an SEO is a big decision. The wrong SEO might make things worse, so do your due diligence and be thorough in your research. Historically, online marketing was a fairly one-sided approach. Businesses pushed ideas out and consumers passively received them. But that landscape has shifted. The internet has become extremely interactive, and social media has created a new style of communication, and there are now billions of conversations happening online. People are discussing popular news articles, sharing photos of their pets, and even engaging with brands, and it all feels relatively natural to the consumer. It's just part of how the web operates. All of these conversations, however, present exciting opportunities for marketers. We can join in on a conversation to drive brand awareness, or create our own conversations and empower our customers to do the marketing for us. Done right, social media has the potential to transform your business. However, it'll require a good strategy, some creativity, and a little bit of luck. Done wrong, and social media might bring unwanted attention, which could potentially harm your business or your brand image. Typically, when we talk about social media, we're talking about the organic, natural approach to distributing content, but it's more than just sharing updates. Because people share so much information on social media, we can buy some of the most targeted advertisements available on the web. Looking to sell a product to a new mom? Facebook has a targeting option for that. Want to offer help when a customer is complaining about your brand? Twitter has a search feature for that. For many brands, social media will be a must-have component of their digital marketing strategy. Your social media might feature the major networks, or it could be as simple as a blog, a customer forum, or a small niche bookmarking site. In this chapter, however, I'll be focusing on marketing with the big four platforms: Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Pinterest. These four networks are not the same. Each has its unique and its own best practices, style, and audience. So keep this in mind as we develop our plan. Your social media plan will simply expand on the marketing plan we designed at the start of this course. I'll show you what I mean in just a minute, but first, I want to clarify a few things. So open up a new document or pull out a piece of paper and make note of the following. How much time can your team spend on social networks? You want to plan on at least an hour a day. You've got to remember that you need to write copy, design or find images to support your message, and then evaluate results so you can improve the strategy. Next, think about what resources you have available. Are you doing this yourself? Can you train someone on your team to help you? Will you hire a freelancer? Once you factor in the time requirement, you might decide it's worth to pull in some more help. And finally, pencil out your budget. What are you planning to spend? Even if you're not doing any paid advertising, make sure you still factor the time you or your team will be spending. Calculate the hourly rate, and then include that as part of your spend. If you are doing paid advertising, I would try to allocate at least $500 a month, especially at the start when you're trying new things and exploring how your spend is most efficient. Social media is a moving target. If you're able to adapt and scale alongside of it, your brand will benefit in the long term. There's a fair amount of choices when it comes to social media, and each requires a significant investment in time to find success. To help you decide where to start, let's look at the demographic overview of Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Pinterest. I'll guide you through the type of user you'll find and what marketing styles are most appropriate. The data I'll be sharing with you comes from the Pew Research Center, and you can find even more of it at pewinternet.org. Today, it feels like it's impossible to find someone who isn't on Facebook, and that's probably because it's the largest of the four networks, with over 71% of internet users having a Facebook account. Facebook is great for brands, but it's slowly shifting more and more towards being a pay-to-play model. On Facebook, you'll work to acquire fans for your business page, and you can post status updates, videos, and photos to your timeline, but truthfully, only a fraction of your actual fans may see that content, and new rules have emerged that are making it harder to motivate people to like your page. This doesn't mean you still won't find tremendous success. With the largest group of users, their paid advertisement brings some of the best returns on investment in the social media playing field. Having an active social media presence and an organic fan base will help lower the cost of your promoted media. Facebook boasts the highest percentage of users who graduated from college, so you'll find a strong middle class represented. If your brand appeals to those ages 24 to 50, this is an ideal network. Younger users are shifting away from Facebook and joining Instagram or Snapchat to communicate digitally. It's fairly well split between male and female users as well. Facebook is great for small and large businesses alike if the demographic overlaps. Small businesses might want to focus on paid media to start and then slowly work towards a growing fan base. Twitter has around 20% of the internet population using it, and it's the most popular with the 18 through 29 crowd. It's slightly biased towards women, but not by too much. Twitter is great for short, rapid communication, and it tends to be a top choice for consumers looking to get support or provide a shout out to brands. Because of its impressive mobile usage, around 30% of Twitter users are checking their feeds multiple times throughout the day. If a user follows you on Twitter, they'll receive any of your tweets directly into their timeline. Now you'll be competing with all the other messages buzzing around, but there's absolute distribution. Twitter requires more time investment than the other networks, and its paid advertising platform is relatively young. Ads on it are more expensive, but it's easier to join conversations and search for leads because it's primarily a public network. Now, LinkedIn is the least frequented social network, but it has the highest percentage of professionals, and it's skewed more in favor of an older demographic. LinkedIn is completely business-focused, and a brand presence here may or may not bring much value. There's a lot of opportunity as an individual, or if you're a moderately sized business. As a small business, it's worthwhile to build out a business page as a backbone to any business lead generation you're doing. You'll find LinkedIn to be most effective for connecting with key decision makers at other companies, and their paid media advertising platform is among the most expensive in social media, but it can be successful for the right advertiser. Pinterest has continued to gain popularity. This social network is built on the idea of bookmarking or pinning things that you find around the web. It's very visual, and the majority of users are young, affluent females. If your brand has a strong visual language, there's plenty of opportunities on Pinterest. You'll find a wide range of companies finding success on Pinterest, everything from coffee shops to Nike. It's a time investment and requires building followers who will essentially repin your contributions or pin content directly from your website. As you consider where to find your audience on social media, I also recommend taking a look at your competition or businesses in a similar market. Look at what they're doing, how their engagement appears, and how responsive their audience is. Video marketing is another relatively new component to online marketing. It involves producing video content and placing it on sites like YouTube. Now, you might be asking, why is it worth producing video content for sites like YouTube? Well, if I were to ask you what the second largest search engine next to Google is, what would you say? Yahoo Bing? It's actually YouTube. This makes YouTube an incredibly valuable resource for driving brand awareness and traffic to your website. Video marketing can be used to show off your location, your products, or even help customers through their buying decision. You might make a video to tell your brand story or create your own commercial and use it to advertise on top of related content. A well-titled and described video can appear in Google search results as well, driving yet another opportunity for people to discover your brand. Now, there are several companies whose success was hinged on viral videos, but two come to mind: DollarShaveClub.com and Blendtec. Dollar Shave Club is an online subscription for razor blades. The company saw impressive growth after they posted a comedic viral video on YouTube. Within the first 48 hours of posting the video, they had over 12,000 new customers. And in the first 3 months, they racked up over 4.5 million video views. Another brand that you may have seen on YouTube is Blendtec. The founder created a YouTube video series called Will It Blend? And here he puts everything from bricks to golf balls in his blender to prove it's one of the best blenders you can buy. The videos were a direct response to customers curious if the Blendtec would blend things well. And so he created a video series that answered their question. And he jumped onto trends as well. When the new iPhone was released, he made sure it was dropped straight into the blender. There is a huge potential to build video content that will resonate with your audience. And your focus doesn't have to be to go viral. You may decide video marketing is ideal because it'll help you along in your sales journey. Or maybe answering questions via YouTube will reinforce your brand's commitment to customer service. It's possible customers or competitors are already making videos about your product or services. If that's the case, there's even more reason to jump in and leverage the power of video marketing. The best impact from video marketing will come from building interesting and unique content. Not all video content is created equal. If you decide to pursue video marketing, you'll want to focus on building high quality and highly targeted material. Much like your website, YouTube viewers decide whether they'll keep watching your video within the first few seconds. So you not only need to retain their attention throughout your video, but you need to make sure the first moments are captivating. Your content should speak directly to your audience. If you're skewing towards a younger generation, humor is a great approach, whereas an older generation might be more interested in an authentic and authoritative tone. Some of the best content answers questions your target audience is already asking. As you create your videos, avoid building a sales pitch and instead share the unique aspects of your product or service that can't be told with text or pictures. What makes you unique? What are you proud of? What do you highlight when you share your business offerings with others? These are some great questions to help you find what content to create first. As you build this content, keep the following in mind. Your video should be short. Less than 2 minutes is an ideal starting point. And if you plan on using your video as a paid commercial, less than 30 seconds. When you go to create your content, be sure to use a very high quality camera. Focus on good lighting, invest in a tripod or a way of keeping the camera stable, and if you do end up shooting with an iPhone, remember to turn it horizontally. Talk directly to your audience and keep it natural, slightly informal, and personal. The values of your brand, your tone, and your visual style should all be evident in your content. And keep future videos consistent so as not to create confusion when users watch more and more of your material. Now, most viewers will only make it through about 70% of your video, and that's even pushing it. The shorter your video, the better the likelihood users watch it to the end. Include a call to action in the middle of your content and again towards the end, and leverage annotations to make the messaging interactive. For more details and best practices, I would definitely check out the YouTube playbook at youtube.com/playbook. Now, if you're strapped for ideas, consider reaching out to an agency that specializes in building video content. If you're doing it yourself, consider renting quality lights and video equipment from a company like borrowlenses.com. To many, email marketing feels a little old and antiquated. It almost comes across very similar to direct mail, in that you're sending a newsletter, an offer, a flashy postcard alongside dozens of other letters in the hope someone not only reads it, but responds to it. And sure, the older model of email marketing was a lot like that. Marketers purchased giant lists of email addresses and then sent completely irrelevant offers in hopes of catching a handful of leads, and thus the boom of spam. And while that still happens, the modern email marketer is turning to their own list to drive interaction and revenue. And this is because many customers welcome communication from brands they already interact with, just like our own acceptance and use of snail mail coupons from businesses we frequent. Today's email marketing is typically built on a list of users who have subscribed to receive communication from you. They're interested in hearing what you have to say and potentially getting a special offer not available elsewhere. On one hand, your email marketing efforts will be about acquiring new subscribers to your list, and on the other, retaining and generating revenue from these subscribers. With email marketing, you can inform existing customers of new products, upsell them to a more premium package, or even encourage them to share your business with their peers. Email is very much alive in today's online marketing landscape, so it's worth building a strategy around. Email marketing is very strategic. Each message needs to be carefully crafted, include a strong call to action, and arrive at just the right moment to get noticed. If it's not relevant, it gets deleted. Think about your own email habits. What are you opening and why? What are you clicking on? You might consider keeping track of every marketing email you open over the next couple of weeks, or even looking back at those you opened historically. Try to identify patterns and use those ideas to your advantage. Good email marketing is built on customer segments. Anytime you acquire an email, you should track where that email came from. If you have the resources, it would be ideal to also track which emails made purchases, how much revenue did that email drive, and even associate demographics or persona information if you have it. For example, I might have multiple email lists for an online storefront. I can have a list of customers that made a purchase in the last 30 days, customers that have made repeat purchases, and a list of people who added an item to their cart but never converted. Each of those segments would receive a different email from me. Good email marketing is hinged on the idea of a drip campaign. So for our abandoned segment, I might send an email in the first 24 hours that says, hey, you still have an item in your cart. There's only one step left to checking out. Maybe 72 hours later, I'll drop another email. Free shipping today with online coupon, ship free. View your cart now. And the following week, I might try one last desperate attempt with another coupon or a reminder that there's something in their cart. Maybe even information on why the company is so great. And that's just one example of many. Automated email marketing is a must-have in today's digital landscape. There's so much potential revenue sitting in your email list. To get the most value out of email, you won't be using a typical email client. Instead, you'll need to leverage an online provider such as MailChimp or Constant Contact. These systems will let you tailor your lists, set up automatic triggers, and track results. Email marketing is still a valuable tool. Focus on generating your own email list versus purchasing one, and you'll likely see much better results. To get the most out of email, you'll want to build a plan that is tailored to your target audience. And I know I'm starting to sound a bit like a broken record, but being targeted is incredibly important. Before we get into the emails you're sending, let's talk first about the acquisition of email subscribers. How are you gaining new members to your list? Common techniques are to include an email sign-up link on the important pages of your website or even in your footer. You can use a lead generation page to capture information or exchange a coupon for their email when they first visit the site. Explore email lead generation through social media. Sites like Twitter have lead generation cards, and Google will even let you run advertisements where email users can leave their address directly. Once you understand how you'll capture the audience, think about the actual email strategy itself. Start by identifying your goals. It's okay to have several. A goal might be to generate more sales, to increase signups for a conference, or to reactivate a former customer. Make a list of your goals and then make note of what audience will most likely fulfill that goal for you. The audience you identify will become a customer segment, and you'll load that segment into your email tool. From there, put yourself in the shoes of your customer. What does the customer need from you in order to take action? What will motivate them to follow through with the objective? You might find that many customers need a handful of emails before they'll take action. And in that case, you might design a campaign that has 3 or 4 steps before your big ask. Once you know what your customer needs, build your content to support that answer. It might be an image, a video, testimonials, or even detailed instructions on how to complete a step in the conversion process. As with most things, short and sweet is key. The content needs to be compelling, the subject engaging, and the call to action apparent. The design shouldn't hamper the experience either. If you're reaching a young, extremely mobile audience, you might speak to them through the use of emojis, whereas if you're targeting a small business owner, a clean and modern appearance might win out. Test your design on mobile and desktop. Good content will be lost if the email doesn't load properly on mobile. Next, identify how the consumer will interact with your email. Most of your audience will be reading this on a mobile device, but use your existing analytics to verify that idea. Make sure to outline any special considerations for mobile users. You might need to use smaller images, bigger buttons, and you'll want a mobile-optimized landing page. Lastly, consider your timing. How often do you need to send your message? Is it best distributed during the day or at night? Do you need it to arrive at 8 a.m. Eastern and 8 a.m. Pacific? Is it seasonal? There's no magical answer. You'll have to use your data to help guide you in this decision. If you're just starting out with your email marketing, you might not have enough data or customers to fully understand the opportunities. In that case, make educated guesses and stick to broad appeal offers until you've collected more subscribers. Content marketing is all about creating articles and media that in turn drive brand awareness, create new customers, and generate revenue. It works because good content is valuable to customers. It does a number of things, and the first of which is answering a question. People are curious, they're research-driven, and they'll frequently turn to the web to identify material surrounding a particular question. In some cases, content marketing will even create questions people never knew they had. You might be browsing an article with a recipe when you come across a headline that reads, "Are you using your ice tray properly?" And you think to yourself, I don't know, am I? And before you know it, you've purchased a new silicone ice tray from a hip startup. The right content is authentic, and if it does a good job of answering the question, it can sell without being pushy. Content marketing is also authoritative. It allows people and brands to establish themselves as authorities on particular topics. A carpet cleaning company might use content marketing to publish articles on the best methods for removing stains. They may even add videos to their articles helping to demonstrate how their method works. It can be a completely unbiased approach as well, but the fact they're sharing industry-specific information makes them appear authoritative. Content marketing also adds value to a customer's journey by providing them with the ability to self-navigate any announcements you've made in the past or sneak peeks to what lies ahead for your brand. The great thing about content marketing is that it's a very low barrier to entry. It's inexpensive to add articles to your website or leverage a platform such as WordPress or Blogger to build custom content. The hardest part of the whole process is actually creating the material itself. Good and relevant content will also add value to your SEO efforts. It's one of the main reasons companies are leveraging content marketing, and it should weigh into your decision of starting down this path. Your content marketing will likely be cross-channel, weaving itself through your blog, your social media, and your email efforts. By producing great content, your business will help to answer questions, steer a customer's journey, and become a trusted source of information. All of this works to increase your online reputation, and that's never a bad thing. What type of content you produce and where you distribute it will be uniquely specific to your brand. Writing articles through the use of a blog is one of the most common types of content marketing, so I'm going to focus on this for now. With that in mind, let's talk about how to create your own plan and what elements you should carefully consider. Now, our content plan will start with the same approach as all of our other strategies. Identify the core audience, what you want them to do, how your content will get them to do it, and what you'll measure to know if you've succeeded. The tricky part with content is that it's most often a comprehensive approach. One article won't be the primary source of conversions, so you'll want to think creatively about what types of content you need to produce. The strategy here is to keep things closely related or neatly categorized, so as people start connecting with your content, they're inclined to read more and more. You can encourage this by adding related articles to your blog, having a next or previous link at the bottom of the page, or by linking to other articles throughout the copy of each. One place to look for ideas is back at your keyword research from the SEO portion of online marketing. You can start to think of questions and ideas surrounding those topics and reuse the Google keyword tool to identify long-tail keywords or topics worth discussing. With content marketing, you'll likely see most of your success in the long-tail keywords versus the short form. And what I mean is most of your blog traffic will come from dozens of different keywords like, why is my ice tray always breaking? Or what are ice trays made out of? Versus the short keyword, ice trays. More content means more opportunities to collect this smaller trickle of traffic. 10 or 20 articles that are moderately ranked might bring in the same amount of traffic as one decently ranked article, but in a lot less time. With that said, you need a lot of content, and you need it on a consistent basis. And this takes a lot of time. Part of your plan needs to be thinking about who will write the articles. Many companies leverage their own employees, but if you don't have that luxury, you might consider a copywriter or a freelance journalist. Stay away from content farms that generate SEO articles. You want to be authoritative and knowledgeable, so you need to focus on quality, and these resources are not known for that. Plan on creating one article a week to start. This is probably the bare minimum. If you're using dates on your articles to demonstrate their recency, it's even more important to keep things fresh. As always, measure your results to determine what content is popular or trendy, and then continue to build around those ideas while trying new things. In the US alone, over 50% of the population is using mobile devices, and they're spending over 2 hours a day interacting with them, according to the Pew Research Center. Businesses are taking note, and the trends indicate that a mobile strategy cannot be ignored. If your business has a mobile user base, it's an absolute that you should explore mobile marketing. Next time you're out and about, take a look around. We're consumed with mobile devices. People at bus stops, waiting in line at the grocery store, or on a lunch break, all likely looking at their mobile device. Major brands are taking note of this and providing ample opportunity to engage with our mobile devices. Text a short number for special offers or scan a QR code to pull up product details. Companies like Amazon.com have built mobile applications that interface with our day-to-day life, allowing us to scan barcodes to find the product cheaper on their website. People are downloading a staggering amount of mobile applications, and in them, they're clicking on mobile-optimized advertisements. Most phones are now linked to GPS, so we have opportunities to engage with customers at a hyper-local level. Companies like Foursquare and Yelp have built-in reward systems for checking in to local businesses. Native applications specific to brand experiences are also commonplace, giving way to a new type of marketing. And these are just a handful of ways businesses are using mobile marketing. There's endless opportunities, but a great starting point is to duplicate your existing efforts, but tailor them to mobile. The internet was once dominated by desktop users browsing the web from home or work, and that landscape presented marketers with an incredible amount of options and opportunities to be creative. Now that we've gone mobile, there's still those opportunities and then some. Things span across multiple screens, and it's not just common anymore, it's expected. Carefully consider your prioritization of mobile marketing in your online digital strategy. For most brands, it should be near the top. There are many reasons why companies should or should not build a mobile application. Typically, a mobile application needs to provide significant value to your users, especially because they require a lot of time and effort to develop. A good app can bring value to your online marketing efforts, though. It'll add additional exposure in new markets by being listed in the Apple or Google Marketplace, and it will provide you with a new call to action for your advertising, in this case, a download or install button. You can use apps that are directly related to your business, or you can create a supporting app that draws attention to your brand. Geico, the car insurance company, pulled off a great example of this. They have an app that allows you to manage your account, pay your bill, and view your ID cards. But they took mobile applications to a new level. Leveraging on the silliness of one of their commercials, they launched a different mobile application called BroStash. The app allowed you to try different mustaches on yourself or your friend. It was well designed, funny, and fit with the whimsical nature of Geico's image. They branded it with their Geico logo and saw impressive virality. As you decide to explore the mobile app landscape, decide what it is you're trying to accomplish with your application. If your app is just an extension of your business, then first determine if it allows a customer to interact with your product or service in a more meaningful way than your website. If it doesn't, there might not be a lot of value there. Mobile applications require a lot of planning. You should create a document called a scope of work and outline everything the application will need to do. Get really detailed, as you'll want to list every requirement. I recommend thinking simple. Your options, design, and interface should be clean, effective, and look good. Start with a small prototype. Don't try to pack all your features in at once. Instead, pick the must-haves and start with those. Always consider how people interact with mobile devices. They're small, so make sure the features you're adding work on limited screen sizes. App development can be costly, especially if you're looking to put your application on multiple devices like the iPhone and Androids. Finding a mobile application developer is much like finding a web developer. Do your research, get multiple quotes, and stick with a person or team who has demonstrated results you like. Now, there are some self-service solutions for building a mobile application. You can take a look at buildfire.com or goodbarber.com. Now, I haven't used either of those tools personally, but have heard positive reviews. Explore them on your own and decide if they're a right fit for you. A mobile application can serve as a standalone marketing effort as well, a tool to help convert customers, or as an extension of your business. It's one more resource that you can market or market with to build even more exposure with your online marketing.